market, which is the Toronto market, and the facts that one must consider traveling in their career path. So we will open up our questions and answers towards the end of the presentation. As an introduction to you, I came to Canada 26 years ago after working nearly 8 years in the Middle East. The last 4 years of my stay was in the Middle East, and it was with Deloitte as an auditor. My journey and the career path both were very challenging, but yet interesting. And many times I was faced with obstacles and forced to take hard decisions. Times were very tough 26 years ago, and there were absolutely no support mechanism to help internationally educated professionals to seek employment opportunities in Canada. Many times in my career and career path, I was deciding to quit and then return back to the country where I came from. But eventually I decided to steadfast and move forward. As you all know, Canada also went through a deep recession during the mid-90s. I wanted to start at least at the middle management level because the last 4 years of my stay before coming to Canada was at the middle management level. So I wanted to start my career from the middle management level. To continue, I thought I can continue from where I left off, but that wasn't the case. And that was proven very wrong, and there is absolutely no opportunity to accept my education, qualification, experience, etc. in the Canadian market. Market was very tough, and the nation's or Canada's unemployment rate was very high during this period. It was almost 11.3% unemployment rate in 1990 or early 1990s. And especially in Toronto, the unemployment rate in 92 was almost 11.5%. So I got to move forward, and I thought it is better my journeys from somewhere. Rather than deciding to start my career from where I left off, I had to make an entry point with the Canadian workforce. Started looking around for jobs, and I decided that the better way to find out is to move into an entry-level job. Started my career as a finance and accounting person in 1992, and continue excelling from that position to various positions. I became a supervisor in the 3rd year, a manager in the 7th year, and a director in the 11th year. Currently, I'm working as a director of financial management with the City of Toronto. City of Toronto is the municipal corporation providing services to all the citizens in Toronto, to the nearly 2.8 million population in the City of Toronto. It has got $14 billion capital and operating budget, with nearly 50,000 employees working in this corporation. I have been working with the city for the last 25 years, and I'm very proud to share that I have achieved a key milestone of completing my 25 years in one organization with many achievements and recognitions. When I look back my career path and the journey, it amazes me, but at the same time, it is very much fulfilling, satisfying, and rewarding. I always focused on and have the power of perseverance, being constant in trying with my objectives and goals, despite the difficulties or the delay in achieving success. In this webinar, I have summarized some of the key challenges that I have faced with over these years and the strategies that I have taken to address them and move forward in my career. These are taken over the period of years throughout my career. So all the challenges and strategies that you will be seeing, it is not just from my starting point. Those challenges were there across my journey over the last 25 years or 26 years. And the strategies that I have taken to overcome during my journey to make sure that I'm achieving the success and where I am today. So what I have summarized here is the key challenges and the key strategies that I used. So let's move on to sorry for the interruption, we had some technical issues to move the slides. As you know, as a newcomer to Canada, migrating to Canada as a newcomer and calling this country as a new home has many challenges. New environment, new culture, new language, certainly the weather, and trying to find a new start. Those who have come to this country have chosen the great country as Canada as our new home, and we all came with the different objectives. But the challenge of adapting to this new country as our home comes with a price. Some of the key challenges that I have outlined as a newcomer, and I'm sure it is common to all newcomers, and especially finding job opportunities. The first one is no Canadian experience. This is the first challenge. When we come from overseas, the first thing that we challenge or we face is absolutely no Canadian experience. We try to get into the job market. The first thing we hear is absolutely you have no Canadian experience. So there's a different definition of Canadian experience when they talk about Canadian experience. Sometimes it can also mean that the employer does not know how to evaluate the work you did outside of Canada with the way it is done here. Sometimes the employer may think that you may not fit into the corporate culture. And also Canadian work experience includes a variety of elements, not just the work, the culture, the understanding of local regulations, working with people from different cultural background, and office procedures, etc. All those are combined and included as called Canadian experience. Finding the first employer. This is always a challenge. We need to start somewhere. If you don't start anywhere, you will not be able to get the job, you will not be able to get the Canadian experience. So in order to get the Canadian experience, we need to find a job. And no job and no Canadian experience. And no Canadian experience, no job. It goes in a cycle. So it's always a challenge to find the first employer. Second employer is always easy. To find the first employer is always a challenge. That's why you're going to make a difference in your career path. Often we are confused with whether we need to start a part-time or a full-time. Sometimes we get an opportunity to work as a part-time. Many people, they come from outside of Canada, from other countries. They will think twice. I have been working full-time for many years, and should I accept a part-time? So this is always a challenge. Sometimes we make a decision of waiting to get a full-time, but ignoring opportunities that is coming through the part-time opportunities. Sometimes we are faced with contract position versus permanent position. Should we accept contract positions? I never accepted contract positions before. I never worked in a contract positions before. I've been always working permanent positions. So we will be hesitating whether we should take a contract versus a permanent position. Other challenge that we often face is the private versus public sector. And in my experience, many people, many of the newcomers coming from outside Canada, when they talk about public sector, they do not have much of an understanding what public sector is. In Canada, we have 3 levels of government: federal government, provincial government, and municipal governments, and many not-for-profit agencies. And they are equally responsible, and each level of organization has got a bigger portfolio in terms of taking providing services to the citizens. So we come from an environment where we work mostly private enterprises, the private corporations. When an opportunity comes from public or public sector organization or a government organization, we are always getting puzzled. Should we accept, should we not? So this is another challenge. And also, having experience in the private industry, when we apply jobs in the public sector, they may not accept it, and vice versa. Age factor. We as newcomers come to this country at different ages. Not everybody is coming at the age of early 20s and late 20s. People are coming in their ages in 30s and 40s and 50s. So this is always a challenge. Will I get a job when I am 40 years old, when I come here as a newcomer? Will I get a job if I'm 50 years old when I come to this country as a newcomer? And sometimes it plays a dominant role when you seek for an opportunity, but most of the time, the age is not an issue when you look for opportunities. They look at your experiences, qualifications, and skill sets that you bring in to the job. That's what has been considered. But yet, as a newcomer, it's always posed as a challenge. Survival jobs. This is always a challenge. Many times when newcomers come over here, they may not be able to find the job of their choice. So they have to do some jobs. So going to do a survival job, will that bring their status or career path down? That's not the case. But when it comes to a survival job, we always take a second seat or just step back and say, should I accept, should I not accept? Will that create a gap in my career path? So this is one of the challenges for many newcomers, those who are coming to Canada. Another challenge that as a newcomer is understanding the terminology, whether it is technical or otherwise. The language that we use, the terminology that we use back in our country could be different. For example, in our place on the country, we say flat as multi-race buildings. Here it's called apartments. We call lift. Here in the Canadian terminology, they call elevator. We call shopping center. Over there, we call malls. And sometimes we call bathroom over there. It is called washroom over here. Just a few examples. When you come into the employment market, you can see different variations of terminology being used differently than what we used in our home countries. One of the challenges is upgrading educational qualification. Should we upgrade the educational qualification? We've got tons of educational qualification that we bring from our home country. Should we further upgrade our educational qualification? This poses a challenge. So these are some of the challenges that the newcomers face when they come to this country and getting into the employment market. So some of the strategies that I have used and keep on developing strategies moving forward in my career path are, we need to embrace Canada and understand the culture. We come here to this country to call this country as a home. So we need to really understand, accept that this is our home, and we need to embrace Canada as our home and understand the culture. Be part of the community that we live in. We are in one of the community members in the community that we live in, and we need to accept, and we have to be part of the community that we live in, and that will really get an accommodation to live within that community. We have to be very practical, and we have to stay positive all the time. We have to forget where we come from. Most of the time, we always keep that in our minds. So one of the strategies to move forward in the career, as well as continue our stay in Canada, is we need to forget who we are, where we come from. We need to focus where we are now and where we want to go. And one of the main strategies that do not pay attention to negativism. We cannot pay attention to negativism. Because when we are working and trying to find a job, and we will get a lot of rejection, and that will create a negative feeling in our mind. That is not the best way to do it. We need to focus out of that, and we should not pay our attention on negativism, because that will really hold us back moving forward. We need to set a goal. We have to set a short-term goal. We need to set a long-term goal. We need to set a goal as to what I want to be the next 1 year, the next 2 years, next 5 years. And the long-term goal is that what I want to be. Perhaps I was holding a senior management position before I came to Canada, and I want to be achieving that position in 10 years' time or 5 years' time. That's a long-term goal. But we need to set short-term goals in order to achieve the long-term goals. So what we want to be the next 1 year, the next 2 years, what things we need to do in order to get us moving forward. So it is very important as one of the strategies that we need to set up goals as short-term and long-term. We need to update and keep updating ourselves with the market trend, the market change, what market demand is. We need to understand. Then only we can equip ourselves and be in the market, work with the market moving forward. We have to, in some cases, evaluate our credentials to Canadian standard. Some of the credentials that we bring in from our home country may not be accepted into the Canadian standard. It's not that the education is totally different. It is same, but we need to get some sort of an accreditation or some sort of an evaluation done in order for us to produce to the employers, to tell them that we have the equal education that we bring in from our countries. We need to focus on our strength all the time, not on the weakness. This is not the time that we need to look at our weakness and say how we can fix our weakness to moving forward. We need to look at our strength. When we come here with tremendous experience, qualification, education, we have potential strength. That's the strength that we need to focus on, and not to focus on the weakness, because we need to get there into the job market moving forward. Calculate our experiences, accomplishments, and achievements. This is the time that we need to look at our experiences and accomplishments and achievements and say how we can capitalize into the Canadian job market. We need to find a mentor and a friend. We need people to talk. We need to communicate. We need to engage our conversation. We need to share our thoughts and ideas. And we need a mentor who can really guide us and share their experiences moving forward. That's very important. And we have to, and one must have a mentor or a friend that will really help them moving forward into the job market. We need to seek for voluntary opportunities. This is very important. And voluntary opportunities will always open up opportunities to move forward and get recognition into the job market as well as a newcomer. We need to focus on finding the first employer. As I said before, finding the first is always an issue and always a challenge. So that's the challenge that we need to put as a strategy to see how we can find our first employer. We should be ready to accept short-term assignments. Any short-term assignment comes in, we need to accept it, because sometimes short-term assignments will lead into a longer-term assignments. By saying short-term assignment, we should not shy away from accepting it. If necessary, we need to upgrade our educations, because education is very important, and having a Canadian education or Canadian qualifications will certainly take us in a different career path. Continuing on with the job strategies, we have to take job seeking as a project. So it is not something we're going to go and look for a job and then see if I get it, I'll get it. No, we need to do as a mini project. Take it as a mini project. Then that's the way you will be able to really focus on and be successful in the job searching opportunities. And we have to do our homework. It is very, very important. When I say homework, if you're in the job market, looking for job opportunities, we have to do what we need to do in order to find out exactly where we're going, what we're doing, which industry that we are focusing on. And if you're going for employers, we need to find out exactly what the employer is and what they're doing, what they're offering, what is their potential in the market, all those things. We need to do a homework as part of the job seeking. We always have to have a target approach, which we cannot shoot everywhere. We need to focus on where we're going to focus on in order to get into the job. Change the career. And sometimes we need to change the career. We need to look into the option of whether it is worthwhile considering changing the career moving forward, which is quite common in this country. We need to capitalize opportunities. Whatever opportunities that may come in, we need to capitalize them. When I got into the job field, when I joined my organization as an entry-level finance person, I was looking for opportunities. The way that I was looking for opportunities is that before I came to Canada, I got near about 8 to 9 years of solid experience. So that experience, I just want to really use where the opportunity exists. So I was looking for every opportunity where I can really prove myself that I can take more than what I'm doing right now at this point, and then capitalize the opportunity. So that really helped me a lot. Volunteering, networking, and relationship building. This is very, very important. Networking is very important. Volunteering is equally important. And without that, it will be very difficult to move forward. And understanding the political system. Another strategy is that we need to totally understand the political system, how the political system is really working, and that really will give us an opportunity where we can penetrate into the political system moving forward in our career path. And the last one is that we have to take a risk. So just to provide some more understanding of what the Toronto market is, Toronto is a home to Canada's business and financial capital, the third largest North American financial services after New York, Chicago, based on the direct employment. Toronto ranks 4th in the 2014 PwC Cities of Opportunity study, 9th of the 54th global financial centers in the 2013 Banker magazine, 14th of 83 cities in the Global Financial Center Index, and headquarters for 5 of the nation's largest banks, 2 world's largest life insurers, and 7 of 10 largest hedge fund administrators. They're all located in Toronto. And Toronto is also has 3 of the top 50 global pension funds, headquarters of 123 security firms, and the list goes on. Headquarters for 9 of Canada's top 10 mutual fund companies based on assets under management, and the 3rd largest equity exchange in North America. And also, Toronto was named the best place to live in the world by economists based on the 6th of its indexes. So all this support mechanism is done by a sector which is vibrant in ecosystem that includes many of Canada's top lawyers, accountants, administrators, technology firms, and academic institutions. Ontario labor market statistics shows that there are 8 unemployed for every job vacancy. Industries such as finance and insurance, there are 3 job seekers per vacancy. So some of the factors that the changing workplace and the landscape. Canada's workplace is really changing, and the baby boomers are moving out of the system, and the landscape is also changing. Canada right now has got 47% of, or in Toronto, for example, has got 47% of the populations are immigrant population. So the landscape is completely changing. And within the next few years, the workforce is going to be retiring because of the baby boomers reaching their eligibility eligibility for pension, and that's going to create a huge vacuum. So there will be opportunity for the newcomers to get settled into Canada as well as in Toronto, as well as get into the job market. There are 130 languages are spoken on the street of Toronto these days. That tells you exactly how diversified the Toronto is. Canadian workplace and culture and etiquettes. So every workplace has got its own culture. Canadian workplace may be different than what you used to be. The easiest way to figure out is what the culture is to observe and ask. Canada is a nation of immigrants, and all with the different experiences and cultural influences. Canadian workplace culture expects you to be good in speaking, listening, and to know the etiquettes of working along with the co-workers and colleagues from different multicultural background. These things may seem unimportant for newcomers like us, but most people judge each other with these attributes. Canadian experience. When employees look for Canadian experience, they are trying to ensure that you are familiar with the customs, policies, attributes of Canadian life. Also, it means that the employer does not know how to evaluate the work that you did outside of Canada with the way it is done over here. As I said before a couple of times, one of the facts is that it is better to get educational credentials evaluated, and it is very important, and many people, they have to do that because somehow it tells us exactly where we stand, our education stands in relation to the Canadian education. International experience, it is very important to change the international experience to the Canadian job market. So with the wealth of experience that we bring in, it is well recognized these days, but we need to know how to market those international experiences into the Canadian expectation. The marketable skills, we have excellent marketable skills. We need to really focus on what and how we can market our skills based on the experiences and education and the qualifications that we bring in when we come to Canada. And resumes, cover letters, and references. Those are very, very important. Sometimes when I see resumes, when I'm hiring someone and going through the resume that I get, the resumes are running into many pages. And absolutely nobody has any interest to read the pages of resumes. So resume has to be very crisply written, 2 pages maximum with the proper cover letters, and the references are very, very important because the reference check provides a key factor for the job market in Canada. So that concludes my short presentation and the journey that I have adapted, the challenges that I have faced, the strategies that I have used during my 26 years in Canada and in my career, and to get to me where we are today, where I am today. So I'm going to open up for questions and I'm going to share my experience. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. So I just wanted to thank Iqbal for coming and speaking to all of us. So if you do have any questions, please do put them into the chat, and then we will answer them accordingly. Okay, I'll just give you a couple of minutes just to write any questions that you have. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to start with the questions. So one of the questions asked is it possible to combine a survival job with schooling, such as an education upgrade?
So survival job is not being seen as something unwanted in the job market. So on the contrary, that it is good to show them that you are well connected to the job. So in order to move ahead, survival jobs is fine that you can show them, you can combine them education. So you don't have to be shy away letting them know that you are doing a survival job.
Okay. Thank you so much, Iqbal. Another question is, I was holding a senior position in my home country. Should we start from entry level or similar to try?
But not necessarily that you need to start from entry level, but you must be ready to take a lower position if an opportunity is available in the market. If you are thinking that you have to start from where you left off, this is going to be really challenging. So it is better to see, okay, if I'm a senior director in my home country, if I'm starting as a manager 2 or 3 levels down, is absolutely acceptable, because with the skill set that you have, when a future opportunity comes in, you'll be able to excel on that opportunity. So it's not necessarily that you need to start from the low entry level all the time, but if an opportunity comes to you a couple of levels lower than the job that you held before, you should be able to accept it, and you should have the mindset to accept and move on.
I guess next question is a little bit similar as well, but how do you convince others that you can do the job? So I guess the question is, how do you market yourself?
So you have to look at what they're offering, what they're asking. You have to look at, if you're applying for a job, you take a look at the job requirement they're asking in the job posting and see whether you will be able to provide with examples and see whether you have done the job and you can articulate yourself in your resume. That's what they're looking at it. So when the job call is being posted, they're looking at, I'm looking for a person who can do the job that I'm looking forward for the person to do that. So definitely, you have to look at and understand what they're asking, and the customers or resume meeting the requirements. That way, that will convince them that you will be able to do the job. Show the examples, so, some of the job that you have done, match it to the requirements that's been asked in the job. That's more than enough.
Okay. Thank you so much, Iqbal. The next question is to do with education evaluation.
Right.
So Hitinder is asking, he's done his MBA from the University of, I'm sorry, I can't say that, Glasgow, UK, and does that require still to be evaluated?
Well, I mean, the degrees coming from UK is pretty much equally recognized over here in Canada. So for your own satisfaction, if you want to do that, you can do that. But if you have any other accounting designation that you have, then you can get the equivalency over here. But sometimes, if you want to know exactly where you stand, it is better to get the evaluation done. At least you know where you stand in the Canadian, because the MBA in Canada could be somewhat different than MBA in UK. So in order to see where you stand, it's better to get the evaluation done.
Great, thank you. And question from Pavel. He's asking, where do we find volunteering opportunity, and should they be connected within the field?
Well, this is an excellent question. Volunteering opportunities, there's tons of web links available. When you come to Canada, you can look at the voluntary organizations. They're posting the voluntary opportunities over there. It's a matter of going and doing some Googling to find out exactly what organizations are available, what are the opportunities available, and also having a network and connecting with the community organizations. You can go into any organization and tell them that you are looking for voluntary opportunities, and they are very open. In Canada, voluntary opportunities are most welcome, and then every non-profit organizations are always looking for volunteers to come and help them.
Yeah, thank you. This question is related to that as well. It's from Farhan. It says, what is the best approach for entering into the metropolitan job market, I guess, city of Toronto, coming from the private banking sector? I know you touched a little bit about the volunteering side, but...
Right, so city of Toronto. City of Toronto, as an organization by itself, they have got a banking sector, but this is not the banking sector something equal to the private banking sector. We don't have a lending and borrowing and so on. We have got a banking because we have got near about $14 billion operating and capital budget. But having said, there are banking type opportunities available within the City of Toronto. You can always correlate the job requirements based on your banking experience and see whether we can match them. And if there's a match, opportunities are always there for you.
Okay. There has been a few questions asked about the CPA designation and how important it is to finding a good job in the finance industry.
Well, the CPA designation is really an important component for anyone from the accounting professions to come and seek job opportunities. Because every employer, this is one of the screening criteria, really speaking in the job market, and see whether the person is really doing CPA or completing CPA or has CPA available, right? So it is better to get the designation. This is one of the measuring yard or measuring stick that pretty much every employer is using to screen down the resume. So having your CPA, if you do not have a CPA from your home country, then you can get recognized through CPA over here and do some upgrading courses. Or if you do not have, you better to register for a CPA designation. That will certainly open up opportunities for you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, we just have a lot of questions about designations and all that. One of the other questions about getting a job is how important is Canadian experience as a major factor in getting a job?
Well, as I said, Canadian experience is not just the Canadian experience, Canadian work experience that you need to have the work done over here. The Canadian experience is a combination of many things: understanding the culture, understanding the ethnicity, how we can work with different multicultural environment, the rules of engagement, the office procedure, and so on. But in order to have a Canadian experience, you need to start somewhere. So accepting smaller jobs, shorter assignments, a temporary job, even an entry-level job will definitely provide a Canadian experience. As I said in my presentation, finding the first employer is always a challenge. Finding a second employer is a lot easier because every employer wants to be the second employer, not the first employer. So finding the first employer is a challenge. For that, we need to lower our expectations, get into some sort of a entry-level position where we can lower the Canadian experience.
Thank you. And another follow-up question from Mohammed is, what about age? Is that a factor as well, and how do we overcome that?
Not necessarily a factor over here because nobody will ask you how old are you when you apply for a job. Unlike some of the resumes that I have seen, I have to write down my date of birth or my age as to I'm 55 years old, 60 years old. Absolutely no personal information is asked in the resume that you in the job requirements that has been posted on, and you have no requirements. There is no necessity that you need to provide your personal information to the resume. So you don't have to tell them you are 40 years old, 50 years old. And also in Canada, there is absolutely no retirement age, an official retirement age. Most of the people leave at the age of 50 and 60, but technically one can work until the time they want to work. So the age is not a factor at all in the job market. I have seen my friends at the age of 50s and early 60s, from outside they got into a senior level position because it's all based on the experience, the qualification, the knowledge, the technical skills, and all the other soft skills that you bring into the market. So some jobs needs people with a high maturity, right? And that's when they will be looking for people with more experience and fairly senior level positions. So again, the age is not a factor at all in my mind.
Okay, thank you. And just a follow-up question regarding the professional certifications. Adder Remy is asking, like, should he or she pursue that right away if they don't have the CPA? Or
I will strongly recommend that if someone is coming here, if you do not have any accounting designation, it is better and highly recommended to at least register to have a Canadian CPA accounting designation. That will definitely give an opportunity to get your resume recognized when you are looking for job opportunities in the Canadian market.
Okay. And one of the other questions is also how important is it to have references on your resume?
Well, you don't have to show or provide the references in your resume, but you make sure that the references are available if in case if the employer is going to call or make up their mind to provide a job, but just suddenly they will call for reference. So you don't have to provide a name, but you always make sure that you have someone that can provide a reference for you when it is needed.
So there's a couple of more personal questions. Ki Chin Sim is asking if you can share an experience of a disappointment or setback and how did you overcome it. And someone else is also asking about how long did it take for you to find your first job, and what time frame should one keep in mind before taking up a survival job?
So the disappointment and setback, and I started my career earlier on 26 years ago in a recession where jobs are not available. It was a challenge to find my first employment. So the setback, the question that I had at that point is that should I continue on pursuing my job opportunities over in Canada or fold my back and then go back where I come from? I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to continue moving on. And I said, well, definitely I will find a job soon, but I have to keep my spirit moving forward. So I'm not going to be taking no as an answer, but I will keep trying until I get an opportunity to get in. So my perseverance is the one that really motivating me to moving forward. And what's the second question?
Yeah, the second question is just how long should you take before you find your first, how long did it take you to find your first job? And what time frame should one keep in mind before taking up a survival job?
So in my case, I found the first job within 6 months. It was in 1990 when things were totally different than what we have today. There's no support mechanism whatsoever. But even those times, about 6 months to get the first job, that's an absolutely entry-level job, a filing clerk. I didn't mind taking the job because it only for 3 months. So that really opened up. The work that I have done to the employer was quite impressive that he himself said that I don't have any opportunity, but certainly I will recommend someone that I know in the industry to provide your next opportunity. That's how we move forward. So it took me 3 months, but to get to where I wanted to be, it took me about almost 2.5 to 3 years. That's what I want to be in a management position, and from there on I moved on. I moved on.
There's also a question about recommending some recruitment agencies that specialize in the finance field.
Well, you can Google them. There are tons of them over here. Certainly, when time comes, you'll be able to really find someone. And there are 2 recruitment agencies. One is like a placement agency. They will be trying to find a job for you. The other one is, we call them Headhunters, that they are looking for people because they have jobs in their portfolio and they are hunting for people to be placed. So there are 2 types. So depending on the skills that you bring in, either you can look for a placement opportunity that they can look for opportunity for you, or you can go to the headhunter that they have jobs but looking for people like you. So both ways you can look into that.
Okay, another question is, that's for myself, but does ACCESS Employment assist in getting a CFA course? I think the answer is no, unfortunately we don't. We do have a number of bridging programs, and if Hitinder, you're interested in learning about our bridging programs, you can email myself. I believe that you have my contact information for that. Okay. So another question is, I'm in engineering now, and after 5 years, I would like to move into the financial markets investing. How do I go about doing that? Or is that
so one thing is, one thing in Canada is people switching jobs and careers, which is very common over here. I have friends who came as an engineer, they become a computer specialist in computer system, computer programmers. I know people who came here as an accounting and from finance and accounting field gone into a business and other field as well. So it's always easy. So once you decide that you want to switch the career, there are so much bridging programs that you can take, and there are courses available that you can take while you continue working as an engineer. If you have any appetite to come into financial field, there are courses that can bridge you to get to the new field. So there's always available opportunities are there. It's easy to switch the career as long as you are committed and you stay focused.
Thank you, Iqbal. I I think that is most of the questions that we have today. So if anyone has any additional questions, feel free to write them in the chat right now. Just looking at a couple of the other questions is how to stay in touch with Iqbal Ali. So if anybody is interested in staying in touch and getting Iqbal's email information, please do email me. I'll give you my email in case you don't have it. So you can email me and just ask me for Iqbal Ali's contact information. And if you are interested in a soft copy of the presentation as well, please do email me. It is a larger file, so I do not want to spam those that do not wish to receive that. All right. So I think that's really it. Iqbal, do you have any closing remarks?
Closing remark is that when you come over here, we have to stay positive. You set your mind saying that we are moving forward. In my experience over 26 years, I've been doing mentoring since 2004. It's almost 12, 13 years. I've gone through many newcomers, over 200 of them so far, as far as my count goes on. And I've seen a pattern trend that it takes anywhere from 0 to 3 years to have a full settlement in Canada. So as long as you are committed, you are positive, you come and identify the network, develop friends, look for volunteer opportunities, and then call this Canada when you come over here as a whole so that you can move forward. So you need to forget what you had before. You have to have a new start and move forward. Whatever you had in the past, in your previous life, that is not going to come and hinder you, because that will pull you back. If you really want to be successful, you have to move forward. All your experience, the knowledge, the skills, the competencies, everything that you bring in, invest them into the new market and new country, and that will take you move forward. So as long as you stay positive and act and vibrantly and set your goals and targets, and definitely you'll be successful. But you should not lose in your heart. If you think that this is really an opportunity for you to come to Canada, most welcome. Canada is a country of immigrants, and as I said, the landscape of Toronto is completely changing. We have got 130 languages are spoken, and in the street of Toronto is a very good place to live, and also one of the livable cities of the top 50 cities in the world. So good luck, and that's it. As long as you set positive, you'll be able to see the fruit at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that as well. At Access Employment, we've seen hundreds and hundreds of newcomers and job seekers locally as well finding employment. So do not lose hope, everybody. And please do take advantage of our resources as well. You can check out the link. I did send that to you for our upcoming webinars. We do have a webinar with PTC recruiting tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for those of you that have not signed up yet, please do so. And I will see you online for those of you that have signed up tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will be sharing more webinars in the near future as well on a monthly basis. So please do stay connected and email me if you do want to have Iqbal's contact information. So thanks again, Iqbal.
Thank you. Thanks everyone, and good luck.